It's been too long, y'all. I said this could potentially become a weekly series, but by the looks of things, it'll probably have to be once a month instead. Anyways, you know I enjoy reading these, so let's get stuck into another round of unpopular K-pop opinions. Fun for the whole family. We're starting off with a banger, ladies and gentlemen. This one has 238 upvotes, that's how you know. Sneaker is the best ITZY title track. I know this one is unpopular, lol. All I hear about is how Sneaker is their weakest title track, but in my opinion, Sneaker is the best ITZY title track. I'm not a fan of ITZY, but I keep up with their music and have listened to every release. Personally, I don't understand why people think ITZY fell off with Sneaker. Just to interject real quick, ITZY is probably one of those groups that immediately comes to mind when you hear the phrase fell off, which by the way is an extremely overused term that has completely lost its meaning. But in my opinion, for ITZY, at least title track wise, it has been a steady decline in quality rather than a nosedive. Are the lyrics the best ever? No, its objective quality is probably not high, at least in comparison to some of their other songs. But it is the one that I think is the most listenable in that I could listen to it over and over. It's just a fun little song. I also really enjoy the choreo and I think the music video is really cute. I don't really understand the hate for Sneaker. Again, its objective quality is probably not that high, but it's not a genuinely awful song. First of all, if you can acknowledge that the objective quality is not high, then you can't really call it the best ITZY title track, can you? If it's not that great but also not terrible, then it's probably just mid. But before reading this, my only impression of Sneakers was the chorus, meaning I had basically not listened to the rest of the song at all. But now after doing so, I think I sort of get the charm. It's just a silly, inoffensive, guilty pleasure, not unlike NMIX's Tank, for example. Speaking of NMIX, man, I'm fucking bummed that Jinny left. I know this is completely unrelated, and I'm not even like the biggest fan of NMIX, but I like the members, and I like Jinny, so this sucks. Anyways, Sneakers has quite a fun and bouncy beat, and while most of the rapping and sing talk is very forgettable, the chorus is the exact opposite. When I first heard that "put my sneakers on" part before the song came out, I probably had the same reaction as everybody else, like, they can't be serious, right? And the truth is, they aren't. It's not meant to be taken seriously. The problem that I have with a lot of bad songs this year is that they all have very frivolous hooks at their center, but they're also very pretentious and try to take themselves too seriously. Sneakers, on the other hand, you can kind of turn your brain off and enjoy. So responding to the post, there is absolutely no way in hell that Sneakers is ITZY's best title track, but it's also not their worst. That label would probably have to go to either Mafia or Cheshire. Next, I Burn is (G)I-DLE's best album to date. I think it's unpopular because how well the last two comebacks did and how popular they are. There's a very simple explanation for that. Quality does not translate to commercial success, and vice versa. While I do like them, I don't think the albums are as good as I Burn. Everything about I Burn says perfection to me. The whole concept is a masterpiece. Hwa is an amazing song that lets you feel the whole vibe and concept. B-sides are the best out of any IDOLS album, and IMO they are no skip. The whole thing is rounded up so perfectly. Then the aesthetics of it, perfect as well. I could just listen to it for days. Everything about it just works. Am I the only one who feels this way? Listen, you are not the only one who feels this way. I Burn is without a doubt (G)I-DLE's best album. It is conceptually superior, thematically cohesive, brilliantly written. It's Soyeon skillfully executing on her grand vision, and it pays off. I would happily call this album a masterpiece. To everyone who thinks I hate IDOL, get this, I would never hate on any artist for any reason. Though I may really dislike a piece of music that they made, I'm not gonna hate them for it. Least of all IDOL, a group that I've liked since debut and still do now. But unlike all the meat riders out there, I will only commend a song if it is truly deserving of praise. I will give credit where credit is due, and even my favorite artists will not be exempt from criticism. The problem that I have with Tomboy and Nude is the same issue I mentioned earlier. Soyeon is clearly someone who takes pride in her work, but when she approaches those campy tracks with the same highbrow ambition, it just comes off as overripe and insincere. Tomboy I get, it's cheesy but still mindlessly listenable, in the same vein as Sneakers. I can't even listen to Nude. Once again, I've gone off on a tangent, I apologize. Back to the topic of discussion. B-sides are the best out of any IDOLS album, that is correct. Lost in particular was one of my favorite B-sides of the year. Hwa was my favorite title track of the year, no cap. IVE should have debuted without Issa. I think this is unpopular because a lot of people love Issa, myself included. This is not an Issa hate post, she's very talented and I don't think she should be removed from IVE now that they've already debuted, but I don't think she should have debuted in the first place. IMO 14 is too young to debut in general, but it's especially weird in IVE's case because the other 5 members are all fairly close in age. This isn't hating on her, but Issa doesn't particularly stand out enough to warrant her debuting so young. She's definitely talented, but IVE would have been fine without her. As sad as it may be, I'm inclined to agree, but not because I think Issa doesn't bring anything substantial to the group. She certainly does. Most of the comments that concur will just say that she shouldn't have debuted on the basis of she's literally 14 and barely out of middle school. I can't really think of that many upsides to debuting idols that young, unless they really are like generational talents, other than it will probably better appeal to a younger audience, which could potentially grant groups greater longevity, as maybe 5 or even 10 years later, the members will still be relatively youthful. Thing is, that practice has been around forever and is likely to stay. It sort of depends on where you draw the line, I guess. Some people think it's wrong to debut minors at all, some say 16 might be okay, it's all very divisive. The age gap thing is also nothing new, and as far as I can see, it's not something that will drastically affect the chemistry of a group in the long term. In conclusion, Issa probably should not have debuted because she's too young, although I would argue that she is an important part of the group, and IVE wouldn't be the same without her. Now let's do a speed round. Everglow is most likely done. Unfortunately, that seems to be the case, so I would gladly hope to be proven wrong. That prospect hurts even more considering Everglow were really coming into their own musically, but yeah, like they said, whatever's going on with Edon, no comeback in sight for more than a year. It's grim. If Luna had another comeback, I would still stream their music. I highly doubt that Luna would be making a comeback with the current situation, where the girls are clearly not on good terms with the company. I don't see why they would have a reason to go through with making more music. Wouldn't you know it, they just announced a comeback for next year. Unbelievable. BBC has got some balls, mate. I'll give them that. What's next? Probably a lawsuit. Also, even if they somehow were to release something, streaming it would mean supporting BBC, who in turn does not support the girls, so it's very dicey. I actually enjoy Soyeon's rap in Tomboy. No. K-pop won't be this popular again, implying that K-pop has just experienced a peak in popularity and that it's slowly dying. From my inner circle to other fans on the internet, they're saying they'd ditch K-pop altogether if their faves ever disbanded. Mate, if you do that, you're not a real K-pop fan at all. If every group that I like disappeared, I would still be listening to K-pop. If K-pop has 1 million fans, I'm one of them. If K-pop has 5 fans, I'm one of them. If K-pop has 1 fan, that one is me. Jokes aside, I don't think K-pop is showing any signs of slowing down, or maybe I'm just optimistically ignorant. Although this last statement is very true. And that will do it for this episode of Reading Unpopular K-pop Opinions. Do you agree with these takes? Let me know in the comments below. I hope you enjoyed this video. Remember to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you later.